Welcome to AI in 10. I'm Chuck Goetschel, and every day I break down the biggest AI story in just 10 minutes. What it is, why it matters, and how you can actually use it. Picture this. The company that helped create some of the world's smartest AI just got kicked out of the Pentagon, not for being Chinese spies or selling secrets, but for refusing to let their AI make life or death decisions without a human pulling the trigger. And that refusal just cost them their biggest government contract. This is bigger than tech news, folks. This is about what happens when the most powerful AI tools meet the most powerful government on Earth. And somebody blinks first. Let me break down what actually happened here. President Trump posted on Truth Social last Friday ordering every federal agency to stop using Anthropic's AI products. You know, Anthropic, they make Claude one of the most sophisticated AI assistants available today, the same Claude you can chat with right now on your phone or computer. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't about national security in the way you might think. Anthropic has been working with the Pentagon since June of 2024. They were actually the first major AI company to get their technology into classified government networks. So what went wrong? The Pentagon wanted what they called any lawful use contracts, basically no restrictions on how they could use Claude. Anthropic said sure, except for two things. They wouldn't let Claude make final decisions on autonomous weapons, meaning AI choosing targets and firing without human approval, and they wouldn't let it be used for mass domestic surveillance of Americans. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that's not good enough. Drop those red lines or we're done. Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei said thanks but no thanks. We'll help defend America, but we won't cross those particular lines. Now, before you think this sounds like some Hollywood movie plot, this is happening right now with technology that already exists. We're not talking about science fiction. Claude is already helping with intelligence analysis, cyber operations, and military planning across multiple agencies. The Pentagon's response was pretty dramatic. They threatened to label Anthropic a supply chain risk. So, that's the same designation they give to companies like the Chinese tech giant Huawei, which is basically like calling your dinner guest a burglar because they won't give you their house keys. Here's what makes this story really fascinating. Other AI companies like OpenAI managed to work with the Pentagon without this drama. Their CEO, Sam Altman, basically said, hey, we agree with these safety principles too, and the Pentagon's own policies already support human oversight and anti-surveillance measures. So why the standoff with Anthropic? It comes down to how they build their AI. They use something called constitutional AI, basically baking safety rules directly into how Claude thinks and responds. It's not just a policy they can turn on and off. It's woven into the fabric of the technology itself. Now you might be thinking, Chuck, I don't work for the Pentagon. Why should I care about this government contract dispute? Well, here's why this matters to your daily life in ways you might not expect. First, let's talk about privacy. When private companies refuse to build surveillance tools, that's actually protecting you. Think about all the data floating around about you right now. Your location when you use maps, your browsing history, your social media posts, your purchase records. AI can connect all those dots into incredibly detailed profiles of your life, your habits, your political views, even your mental state. Imagine you're a teacher who searches online for information about controversial topics for your lesson plans. Or you visit websites about mental health resources, or you happen to drive past certain locations that get flagged in some database without companies drawing lines in the sand. That information could be fed into AI systems that create automated profiles of millions of Americans without warrants or oversight. This isn't paranoid thinking. It's already happening in smaller ways. Congress has had bipartisan concerns about agencies buying personal data from commercial sources and using AI to analyze it. Second, think about your job security. When the Pentagon pivots away from safety-focused AI companies, they'll likely move to vendors who are more flexible with their technology. That could accelerate military AI adoption in ways that eventually spill into the civilian job market. If AI becomes really good at military logistics analysis and planning without safety guardrails, those same technologies will find their way into corporate America. Your company might start using similar AI to analyze employee productivity, automate management decisions, or streamline operations in ways that could affect your role. Third, there's the taxpayer angle. This 6-month phase-out is going to cost millions as agencies scramble to replace Anthropic's technology. That's money that could have gone to actually improving government services that you use. Think about the VA processing your benefits, the IRS handling your tax return, or Social Security managing your retirement planning. And here's something most people don't consider. When safety standards get weakened for government AI, it creates cybersecurity risks that affect all of us. If military AI systems make errors or get compromised because they were built without proper safeguards, that could cascade into attacks on civilian infrastructure. Your power grid, your internet, your banking systems, they're all connected. The ripple effects are already starting. Several senators, including Intelligence Committee leaders from both parties, wrote a letter urging restraint. They're worried this sets a precedent where companies have to choose between their safety principles and working with the government. That's not exactly how you build a thriving innovation ecosystem. Here's the good news, and what you can actually do about this situation. First, if you're curious about Claude, this doesn't affect you at all. You can still use it completely normally through their website at claude.ai or through their API. The government ban only applies to federal agencies, not regular people or businesses. In fact, this might be the perfect time to try it out and see what all the fuss is about. Claude is particularly good at helping with writing, analysis, coding, and complex problem solving. Go ask it to help you plan a budget, write a professional email, or explain a concept you've been struggling with. See for yourself why the Pentagon wanted this technology so badly. But here's what I really want you to do. Use this as an opportunity to understand what AI safety actually means in practice. When you interact with Claude, pay attention to how it handles sensitive topics. Notice how it declines certain requests or explains its limitations. That's constitutional AI in action. Compare that to other AI tools you might use. Try asking the same questions to ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, or other AI assistants. See how they respond differently to requests about controversial topics, personal information, or potentially harmful activities. This isn't about finding the best AI. It's about understanding that these tools have different approaches to safety and responsibility. And those differences matter when they're being used to make decisions that affect your life. Now, if this story concerns you, here's something concrete you can do. Contact your representatives in Congress. You can find their contact information at congress.gov. Tell them you support AI safety standards and you're concerned about the precedent this situation sets. You don't have to be a tech expert to have an opinion on whether AI should make life or death decisions without human oversight, or whether your government should be able to use AI for mass surveillance without proper legal frameworks. These are fundamentally human questions, not technical ones. Also, start paying attention to federal procurement decisions. Websites like sam.gov show you how your tax dollars are being spent on technology contracts. When you see agencies switching AI vendors, ask yourself why. Is it for better performance, lower costs, or because one company was more willing to compromise on safety? Here's my practical advice for staying ahead of this trend. Learn to use multiple AI tools so you're not dependent on any single one. Understand their different strengths and weaknesses, and most importantly, develop your own judgment about when and how to use AI assistance. As I always say, I'm not a lawyer or policy expert, so talk to professionals about the legal implications for your specific situation. But as someone who's built and sold an AI-powered company, I can tell you this. The companies that stick to their principles today are often the ones you want to bet on tomorrow. Look, this story isn't really about one contract or one company. It's about what kind of future we're building with AI and who gets to decide the rules. When a company chooses to walk away from millions in government revenue rather than compromise on autonomous weapons and mass surveillance, that tells you something about their long-term thinking. These are the kinds of decisions that will define how AI develops over the next decade. The broader trend here is that AI is becoming too important for any single entity, whether that's a government or a corporation, to control completely. The companies that understand this and build accordingly are positioning themselves for sustainable success. For you and me, the lesson is simple. We don't have to choose between innovation and safety. We don't have to accept that powerful AI means giving up privacy or human oversight. But we do have to stay engaged and make our voices heard when these decisions are being made. Because at the end of the day, AI is a tool, And like any powerful tool, the question isn't just what it can do, but what it should do and who gets to decide. Sometimes the most important stand you can take is knowing where to draw the line. That's today's AI in 10. If you want to go deeper and learn AI with a community of people just like you, join us at aihammock.com. I'll see you tomorrow, my friends.